Welcome back to JB Reviews. As you guys know, Chevy and GMC are getting refreshed for 2024. And there is something that I missed in the press release that I just saw a couple days ago. And I was like, I gotta go over it in the video because this could mean the Duramax is probably, I shouldn't say this, the Duramax probably could get better than the Cummins. Man, those are fighting words right there, buddy. Alrighty guys, let's get serious now. Let's get serious. So there's been a lot of updates to the 2024 GMC and the Chevy Silverado. And there's something I missed. Somehow, some way I missed this. And I'm going to go over with you guys in this video. And I haven't really heard of anyone else talk about it. So it's going to be really important for us to test one out. And let's go through some of the things I love about the refresh, and then I will go over that small little detail that is a big deal for the Duramax diesel and why I think it potentially could get better than the Cummins. Now, most of you guys probably have seen the video I did on the 2024 GMC Sierra 3500. It was a dually. Now, I'm going to show you guys some of the footage I got at that RV show in Tampa. But as we all know, the biggest update that GM did and Chevy did was fix the interior. The interior has been completely redone. We can applaud, we can say hooray, because that was really the only thing that made GM pickups really hard to justify when it came down to the price point. My 2023 GMC Sierra was about $87,000. Now granted, any Ram or Ford I want to buy was probably gonna be another $5 to $7 grand, give or take, with the same trim level. But the new interior is absolutely amazing. They also added the Denali Ultimate, which has not been available as a standalone trim level. Now for 2024 it's a standalone, so it's not an add-on package like it was in the 2023 models. And here's the other kicker: they have 6 new exterior colors. Here they are: titanium rush metallic, sterling metallic, volcanic red tint coat, redwood metallic, and meteorite metallic, and downpour metallic. I mean, seriously, that's a lot of paint. Hopefully when the order books open up for the Chevy side of the house, I will go in and get one, and I will try to show you guys the process for that, because I never really showed you guys when I went. Actually, no, I did show you guys a little bit of the Ford ordering, but for the Chevy side I should make it a little bit more interesting. Now here's for the gas truck lovers. For 2024, you now get a standard 10-speed stamp-over approved Allison behind the L8T gas engine. That's big news. I have told with the 6.6 in the past with the 6-speed, and I feel like the 6-speed was adequate, but there was something missing with it. I could never put my finger on it. But here's what GM says about this new 10-speed getting mated with the 6.6 gas. The new 10-speed transmission will now offer smaller steps between the gears, which enables a 6.6 gas engine to hold closer to its peak power. Now, as I mentioned, I never felt like the truck was lacking in the power department. I feel like GM has always made powerful gas engines, and this 6.6 is no exception to that. But with them offering smaller steps between the gears, it allows for that torque to be managed well between the gears, and that's what I like about this upgrade. Now let's keep reading. Now that translates into a more confident feeling of on-demand power, regardless of whether the truck is towing a trailer. But when it is, trailering performance and capability are enhanced, thanks in part to the 10-speed configuration, along with the capability of channeling every single pound-foot of torque to the tires in every gear. That is very, very exciting, because again, I'm looking to order a 6.6 L8T engine with that 10-speed transmission. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the overall refresh of the exteriors. I think that the GM and Chevys look great now. I think that the overall design for the headlights look great, especially on the GM side of the house. I do like what they've done, and that bold front grille for the Denali Ultimate looks cool, especially in the black chrome. But something that they did that I like was, in the past, GMC's never showed 2500 or 3500 on the side of the pickups. And the only way you would be able to tell is if you looked at the suspension, whether it had overload leaf springs or not. That's how you were able to tell whether it was a 2500 or 3500. But now they do put a small plaque on the front bumper, and it does allow you to determine whether the truck is a 2500 or 3500. And I mean, it's a small thing, but I think it's good to know. And another cool part about the trucks is, you'll see on that dually, is it has 18-inch wheels now. In the past, they've used 17s. I've always wondered why they kept rolling with the 17s. 18s is a great option because it does give you more tire selection too, especially if you want to go with like a 35 or 37-inch tire. I think that the 18 is just a better appearance with those larger tires. So I'm looking forward to actually seeing guys put some bigger tires on the dualies. And who knows, maybe in the future if I can make enough money, maybe I'll order a truck and put some big tires on it or something like that, because I love the way a dually looks with 37 by 13.5. It looks super amazing. Alrighty, so I had a little bit of fighting words earlier in this video, and I basically made a statement that the Duramax has definitely surpassed the Cummins. And we're gonna unpack that a little bit here. We're not gonna talk about the high output power stroke because I think Ford has basically said game over, because they don't want to be competed with anymore. They want to be somewhere in the stratosphere and stay there for as long as possible. But we'll see what Ram does next year. But the new Duramax has quite a bit of updates. And it hasn't been updated since 2017. This is the L5P we're talking about here. And the only notable update that they did in 2020 was add the 10-speed Allison. So with that being said, for 2024 model year, they have an all-new, more efficient turbocharger with improved low-end torque. They're saying about 25% low-end torque improvement over the L5P. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to still use the L5P code name for this engine, but for now, we'll just say new Duramax. Now, obviously, that's going to increase power and torque, which is 470 horsepower, 975 pound-feet of torque. And this also has new cylinder heads with improved cooling jackets. I believe they did the same thing with the baby Duramax too. I think that the new baby Duramax for 2023 has some improvements like that too. Also, an all-new combustion system within the heads that's matched with next generation higher flow injectors and greater fuel injection pressure. Also all new engine controller. But here is the update that I never saw in the past, that I just saw recently. They say they have an improved engine braking with a more powerful turbo vane actuator and uprated valve springs. So let's unpack that for a second. They're saying that these updates should make the new Duramax diesel have a stronger engine brake. They don't call it an exhaust brake, they say engine brake. Now here's what I want to see from them. I'm hoping that they do it. Ford and Ram have a full exhaust brake and then a, what's the other one called? It's called an auto exhaust brake. GM only has on or off. So I'm hoping that they do something similar to that, where they make the exhaust brake a lot more powerful. Because quite honestly, I found a way to make my Duramax a lot stronger by putting it into manual mode. But for the most part, that's cumbersome when you're driving. You know, you want to be able to just take your foot off the gas and let the truck do its business. But I cannot wait to try that out. Now, I did not order a Duramax diesel, or I'm not going to, I should say. I haven't even gone to a dealership yet because the books haven't opened yet for the 2024 model years. But hopefully next year I'll make more money and then I could do that. I can't afford 2 diesels this year, but I definitely want to try out the gas trucks, and maybe, just maybe, we'll try out the diesels next year. But let's talk about the Duramax and why I think that they're doing a better job overall over Ford and Ram. Now, back in the 2010s, the manufacturers got hit with a lot of emission stuff. The EGR was already there, but you know, urea was introduced. It was actually mandatory for them to follow those guidelines, to use those systems. SCR, DPF, all that emissions crap that we don't like. And I feel like a lot of consumers were deterred to continue to buy pickup trucks. So we talk about interiors, we talk about horsepower and torque, and those things do sell pickup trucks. Because if you look at a truck from 2010 and you look at a truck from 2020, it's a totally different pickup. Like, it actually has progressed a ton between that, decade. And I think the reason why these trucks have so much horsepower and torque is really because of the emission stuff. They have to find ways to get people to keep buying these trucks. And they've succeeded. But I do like what GM has done because they have stopped participating in the horsepower and torque wars. They actually stopped back in 2017. I believe that when they came out with the L5P, they did have the most horsepower and torque at the time, but not for long. I think that at that time, Ford or Ram might have came out with having a little bit more horsepower or torque. Actually, I think Ford did, because Ford redesigned their truck, I think, back in 2017-18 as well. So they upped their power too. But if you think about the horsepower and torque that Ford and Ram have, there's a lot of torque management that comes with that. I think on the Ram side of the house, a lot of it is with the transmission behind the high output Cummins. That transmission really does hold that truck back. So when you think about that power, you don't really feel it in that Cummins unless you're hooked up to a trailer. The Cummins is still my favorite diesel engine in this segment because it sounds different when it's under load. Like, it literally sounds like an 18-wheeler. Like, when I would pull my fifth wheel from 0 up a grade, it would sound totally different from when it was unloaded. And my Duramax doesn't have that same grunt. So even though it does have more horsepower, I feel like the torque curve in the Ram is so much nicer, and it felt more confident going up grades. Like, not saying that the Duramax did not, it just doesn't have that same feel that I'm used to having in the Cummins. And then maybe that sound just really does open it up to make you feel like it has more power. Apart from that, this new Duramax will probably be the more reliable option, and I'm willing to bet you it may be faster than the other two because I don't think it's going to have as much torque management. My truck has no torque management. Like, when I hit it, every single time it goes. When I drove my friend's Ford F350 with the Power Stroke, it had 475 horsepower, 1,050 pound-feet of torque. That truck was tuned, but it also would start in second gear sometimes whenever I would go from a zero dig. But with my Duramax, I feel like every time I launch it, it goes. And I think it's just a better overall truck because you're not having to worry about things breaking because of all the horsepower and torque the other two will have, and how that's going to obviously affect the end user in the long run. But I hope the video was helpful, guys. Thank you so much for watching it. Been really wanting to do a video on this new 2024 for the updates. As I mentioned, I did not see them upgrade the exhaust brake. So when I saw that, when I read it a couple days ago, I really wanted to do a video on it because I wanted to tell you guys about it, and then we can look forward to doing some videos with it. See you guys in the next video.